Russia, 1921. A severe famine fell upon the country, particularly in the areas surrounding the Volga and Ural rivers. The regions pictured in this historical photo, some 5 million people are thought to have died. Many were saved by the efforts of the American Relief Administration, which Herbert Hoover had set up to help the many starving peoples of Europe after the devastation caused by World War I. The Ku Klux Klan meeting Stone Mountain, in northern Georgia, is many things: a beautiful geological formation, the largest memorial to the Confederacy in the United States, a park and tourist attraction, and the site where the second iteration of the Ku Klux Klan was held. Their inaugural meeting in 1915, Klan members grew throughout the 1920s, declining in the latter half of the decade, after the leader, Indiana KKK, D.C. Stevenson, was convicted of horrific murder of a local white woman. Prince Radian, the human worm. He was born in Guinea, but brought to the US in 1889 by his parents, and popped to work performing at the dime shows and theatres. Despite his extreme disability, he was profoundly self-sufficient, and was able to roll a cigarette, light it with a match and shave. He went on to father 5 children. Dwarf brothers Wayno and Palunta were known as the Wild Men of Borneo. The Tulsa Race Massacre. This horrific event has been called the single worst incident of racial violence in American history. In 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma, was the home of the wealthiest black community in the United States, the Greenwood District. This district was a place where the majority of Tulsa's 10,000 black residents lived and worked, and included a business district known as the Black Wall Street. British women allowed to join police forces, as World War I deprived the country of young men able to serve in the police forces. Women organisers made inroads into law enforcement. Although women in 1921 in Great Britain were allowed to be police officers, they were not granted the powers of arrest. The first policewoman to be granted powers of arrest was Dorothy Peto in only 1932. Early radio broadcasting became popular in the early 1920s, after advances in technology made during the First World War. Weekly musical broadcasts started in 1919, and by 1922 there were over 500 stations nationwide, with daily broadcasts. Young people were encouraged to build your own crystal radio receivers, complete with headphones, to listen to the new craze. Pouring illegal alcohol into the New York sewer. Prohibition in the United States lasted from 1920 to 1933. The ban led to a huge increase in liquor crime, as criminal gangs ran illegal operations, making and supplying beer and liquor. This historical photo shows New York City Deputy Police Commissioner John A. Leach, in uniform, supervising the disposal of alcohol seized during the 1921 raid. British suffragette Sylvia Prankhurst was arrested 15 times during her time campaigning for women's rights. In this historical photo, she's being toasted at breakfast, celebrating her most recent release from prison. Throughout her life, Prankhurst supported the cause of anti-fascism, anti-colonialism, fighting for equal rights for all, and contributed mightily to the cause of women's rights. Monkey Barker, an American-born squirrel monkey, was one of the 2 monkeys which travelled in the nose of a cone of a ballistic missile launched by the US Army. The monkeys participated in a series of experiments in support of the national space programs. Ivor Unger, a member of the Flying Black Gnats, and Gladys Roy are shown playing tennis on the wings of an aeroplane in mid-flight. The rise of fascism in Italy. This photo shows Benito Mussolini, otherwise known as El Duce, attending a fascist meeting in Rome. Later in the year he was elected to the Italian Parliament for the first time, paving the way for his appointment to Prime Minister the following year, and the eventual establishment of a totalitarian state. Checking for length. This 1921 picture shows a Chicago policewoman checking for a violation of the sunbathing suit length laws. Back then, your suit could be no longer than 6 inches above the knee. Of course, the rules only apply to women. Men were free to wear trunks cut high on the thigh. The state of affairs lasted until 1946, when a French mechanical engineer named Louis Reard invented the bikini, although it didn't catch on until the 1960s.